up your loads and make that money flow. We'll keep the shiny side up wherever we go. Set your own schedule, master of the road. Hauling Freedom's cargo, lightening up your load. Tips and tricks for truckers, yeah, we're helping you from dawn till dusk. We'll see you through. Staying driven hard in it every mile. Hunting gears and wearing a smile. From hustling 60 truckers, yeah, we're helping you from dawn till dusk. We'll see you through. Staying driven hard in every mile. Hunting gears and wearing a smile. From hustling city streets to the country lane. Driven truck, yeah, we ease the strain. Keep your eyes on that line from sunrise to moonshine. Owner operators, this show's for you. Tune in, get tips, and roll on through. From diesel fumes to mountain views, we'll guide your way. Hauling grit and glory every single day on the rubber. Feel the freedom in every bend. Driven trucking, your best highway friends. Staying driven hard in it every mile. Hunting gears and wearing a smile. From hustling 60 truckers, yeah, we're helping you from dawn till dusk. We'll see you through. Staying driven hard in every mile. Hunting gears and wearing a smile. From hustling city streets to the country lane. Driven truck, yeah, we ease the strain.
Morning. How's everybody doing today? Hope you're ready to tackle the day. I am ready to do this. Let me know where you're at, where you're headed. If you want to see any specific lanes for later on in the show, I would appreciate it. Just drop a comment down, as long as you're not rolling, of course. But today, what we're gonna do, Autistic Trucker. I love your name, man. Do you mind me asking if that's an AI generated song? It's genuinely good. Thank you. And that took like 50 iterations to actually make that song. So yes, it is AI generated. I think the website I used was called Suno or something. But I was super pleased with the way that it came out. If you're catching this on the replay, go ahead and check the pinned comments down below. There will be a timestamp down there. That way you can skip straight to the content that you clicked on this video for. Also, I am going to, today's going to be kind of a test run as far as the time, so to speak. So when I go into that trucking market update, I'm going to not fly through it, but I'm going to try to get through it in a timely fashion. That way I can have an idea of how long it actually takes, because I am planning for the spread to all the different platforms. But I need to have a time limit, and I'm pretty sure it should be under 10 minutes, but that's the goal. And so hopefully I can do that, but today's going to be a test of that. So just know that I'm not going to be checking the comments during that, kind of that initial period. I will check for, specific lanes if you guys are interested later on, but that'll be after the main portion of the show. So anyway, thanks for coming in. Thanks for checking it out, and thanks for sticking along. If you've been here, today's like episode number 9 already, so that's pretty cool. I'm excited about that. I'm loving doing it. So that's the biggest thing, I guess. And I can see this happening for a long time. So anyway, thanks for everyone that's here. James, appreciate it. Work harder, good morning. Autistic Trucker, good morning. Hey, Work Harder, I got a response back, and we got to kind of go up the ladder. My my contact, she didn't know, just to be honest. She gave me a route to check to see, it's essentially like it's more of like trailer load rather than commodity, searching by commodity. And it was, you can separate it down to like bulk and stuff like that, which I think we already knew, but I do appreciate her feedback on that. What she's going to do is she's going to ask the trainer, and she fully believes that we should have an answer today. So hopefully I can get that back to you by tomorrow, whether or not you can search DAT's load board by commodity. If you are considering signing up for DAT, check out the description down below. Big shout out to them. They're sponsoring essentially the whole channel, and in return, they've offered you guys 10% off for the first year if you use that link in the description box down below. Yeah. Good morning, Carrie Berry. So yeah, like I said, we're doing the time thing today. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna dive into this, and we're gonna get started, and we're gonna be kind of trucking along, getting through all of this. No pun intended. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start same place we always do every day. We're going to be looking at the overall statewide load counts in to loads out. What this is going to do is this is going to let you know a general idea where we should be looking on the heat map, and this will give us an idea of where we should position our truck to make the most money. Just take a load and get the heck out of there, or negotiate harder. So that being said, Alabama is a little weak today. Arkansas is still looking strong. 194 loads in to 293 out. Arizona is rough, no surprise there. California has taken a turn. They are getting close to that kind of 50-50 mark. 1,418 loads in to just under 1,600 loads out. And all of that freight's going to be located in the southern part. Colorado's rough, no surprise. 188 loads out though. Connecticut still kind of in bad shape. That whole northeastern part, other than this very southernmost part of New York and New Jersey, kind of rough. No loads coming out of DC. Not really a surprise there. Delaware, 80 loads in, 57 loads out. Florida. I hope you're not headed to Florida, and if you are, you have a load booked out. This is the worst that I've seen it so far. At 1,542 loads in to 334 loads out. Yikes. Georgia, but just under 1,500 loads in, 900 loads out. That's a little bit weaker than even what it has been earlier this week and last week. Iowa still in really good shape, actually. 273 loads in to 416 loads out. Now, despite they were up above that, well above that 50% mark yesterday, they were not. It was not like a hot location, even statewide. So that was interesting, I thought. Idaho, it's not banging for freight anyway. Illinois in good shape. 1,164 loads in to 1,662 loads out. Majority of that's going to be centered around Chicago, of course. Indiana, probably one of the hottest states of the month and even last month. 706 loads in, 1,212 out. Kansas, a little bit above that 50% mark, so they're making progress. 227 loads in, 265 out. Kentucky's in really good shape, about 50% more loads out to loads in. Louisiana, above average now. I think they were actually above average yesterday, but still in good shape. Might want to consider bouncing over there if you're in Texas, or at least the southernmost part. Massachusetts, bit rough, 50% less loads out than loads in. Maryland, not great. Maine has less loads than what they had earlier in the week. Michigan's right around that 50% mark. Look for them to probably make a turn later in the week if it's anything like last week. Not saying that it's great, but it's not terrible either. Minnesota has pushed above that 50% mark, 258 loads in, 301 out. Missouri's in good shape above the 50% mark. Mississippi's in okay shape above the 50% mark. Montana have loads. That's about all we can say about that. North Carolina still looking rough. About 1,100 loads in to 716 out. The majority of the freight moved kind of in that North Carolina, South Carolina, even Atlanta area. for the best positioning was South Carolina. Also, just on a side note, don't take what I say for gold. I don't know everything. I'm not a mind reader. I can't read the future. So always double check and don't just move your truck before you have a load booked if you are going to bounce, unless you are just certain that you're going to be able to get a load, which I would do sometimes. Nebraska below that 50% mark. New Hampshire really rough shape. Or they've got 120 loads in, 26 loads out. Good thing it doesn't take long to bounce out of there. Jersey's down in freight, but they are certainly considerably above that 50% mark. Now, that's not saying that Jersey's going to be a great area. It's always hit or miss, and you're not going to catch great freight, great paying freight coming out, getting you out of that northeastern area. So just be careful. They've got 674 loads in to 1,029 out. New Mexico, they have some loads as well, kind of like Montana. Nevada's in okay shape. 203 loads in, 304 loads out. I'm sure that somebody from Nevada is either going to correct me for the way that I said it or not in the comment section. We'll see. New York, less freight than what they had earlier in the week. Still above the 50% mark, but it's looking a little worse. 835 loads in and 972 out. Ohio in great shape, 50% more loads out than they have loads in at 1,821 loads out. Oklahoma below par. Oregon creeping up there. They're making a little bit separation as far as loads in to loads out. 206 in to 255 out, so not bad. Pennsylvania has the same amount of loads out as they had earlier in the week, but the loads in are certainly going up. So people running to Pennsylvania. So if you're headed that way, you may want to try to book a load a little bit earlier than normal. Try to just go ahead and solidify something out of there. They've got 1,500 loads in, 1,886 out. So Rhode Island has freight. South Carolina has now dipped below the 50% mark. So that area right down there in the dirty South is looking a little bleak. 580 in, 554 out. South Dakota, it's not Southern Dakota, South Dakota, looking okay. 49 loads in to 72 loads out. Shout out to South Dakota holding it down over there. Tennessee 653 in to 568 out. A little bit rough for the Tennessee area. They've been hit or miss the last couple of weeks, and they've been missing more than they've been hitting lately. So Texas 2145 loads in to 1820 out. Freight is just down a bit across the board. Then it's just been eaten up since the beginning of the week, and getting closer to that 50% mark, but still in rough shape. Yeah. Utah 196 in to 120 out. Virginia is in rough shape, 806 to 664 out. Vermont has freight. Washington, a little bit worse than what they were earlier in the week, 320 in to 214 out. Wisconsin, 487 in to 853 out. That's solid. That's up. West Virginia lost a little bit of ground. I cannot see the loads out because of that big giant question mark, if you can see that down there on the screen. But I do know where the slider was at. I remember that from yesterday. A little bit worse shape than what they were, but still above that 50% mark. And then Wyoming has freight. So that is what we're looking at statewide. We are going to go through the trend lines. And I know that I've already covered this during the week, and I typically don't cover this late in the week, but I am going to go through this, as I said, for timing. Overall, spot load posts are up 11.5% from last week, but down close to 20% from last year. The van load to trucks are up 18.5% from last week, but down 8.4% from last year. The spot rates are about the same as they were last week, and down 3.5% from last year. Flatbed loads are up almost 15%, and they're up almost 20% from last year. So flatbeds, that's why they're paying a little bit more, as you'll see here very soon. The spot rates are about the same though as last year or last week, and they're down 4% from last year, so they're actually slipping in the wrong direction despite the amount of freight being up. Negotiate harder, my friends. Reefers, from last week, The load to trucks are up about 14%, but from last year they're down a little over 8%. Spot rates are up close to 1%, but from last year or they're up about 1% from last week, but from last year they're down a little over 3.5%. Fuel prices from last week are down 1.1%, and they're down last year about 20%. So definitely trending in the right direction. The overall, this is the national spot rates just in general for van loads is showing about $1.99, which is down 2 cents from last month. If you're running a skateboard, they're at 2.46, which is up a nickel from last month. And if you're pulling a reefer, you're down 3 cents from last month. The average fuel price right now, price per gallon across the board, of course, is $3.65. So if you're paying a lot below that, be blessed. If you're in California, Godspeed. The weekly percentage change is down 1% from last week. Moving into the heat map, you're going to not see a lot of red here. Kind of the story of every day but Tuesday, right? I think that is because we had the Labor Day on Monday. Had to have been just a lot of freight just disappeared, and I think on those shorter weeks, shippers don't quite ship as much, so that could be affecting this week. But the hot areas of the week are, of course, going to be Southern California. The San Francisco area is not looking terrible, but at the same time, it's not great. But it is a darker shade than yellow. If you're looking at this screen, yellow means average. That lighter pink means a little bit better than that. There's an orangish color, like you can see over here in the Carolinas, that's even better. And then red is what we want to see. Those are going to be the areas that you can negotiate the hardest, but they're always going to be hot. Well, usually going to be hot. The Southern California area, Dallas, Houston, generally Chicago, and oftentimes Jersey, and usually either Ohio or Indiana, kind of one of these two, holding it down for the Midwest. But as you can see, Southern California, Dallas, and Houston, even though their markets are not great for their load to truck ratios, they're still showing red. But it's you don't really have the negotiating power over there. Really, the only spot you kind of have the negotiating power at the moment might be Arkansas, Iowa possibly. There's good load to truck ratios up there in Iowa, and then Indiana. But Indiana, there usually in this Indiana Ohio area, they're usually not really willing to negotiate too hard because they know that it's generally the best paying freight. When you factor in all the things, gas or fuel. Excuse me. Ooh, I've been off the road too long. Fuel and just all the things that you got to typically factor in. Most money is almost always to be made up here in the Midwest. Atlanta area is showing hot, but be wary over there. We've got a flip here in the Carolinas. North Carolina showing a little bit better freight than South Carolina. So if you're over that way, probably want to look for loads running out of North Carolina. I didn't need to do that. I wanted to have a look here down at Florida. Just I don't know what's going on down there. They're just not moving freight. I haven't kept up with the weather. That is something that is coming in the future, but this kind of middle area was at least average earlier in the week, and now they've just really cooled off. So that's what we're looking at for today. Hope you enjoyed today's trucking market update. Time. It's okay. Sorry, guys. That was for me. Whenever I'm looking back at this, that way I can see just how long everything has taken. I know I've got timers somewhere. Okay, so it's showing 21 minutes. I was a little bit late to get started, so that might have been above that 10-minute mark. Okay. Anyway, thanks for sticking through that. I appreciate it. So let's see here. Let's go back through and have a look. William Anderson, good morning. I'm actually applying for a forklift position at a warehouse near my home. I love trucking so much. Well, good luck, William. Hope that works out for you. Nasser says, respect, bro. Hey, man, respect back. Good morning, Jack. Appreciate it. What truck routing software did you use or recommend? Well, I was a little bit old school in that. I had the good old atlas. I had the book, right? And it comes with time, right? Just kind of knowing you get to know areas, and a lot of times, especially if you own your own truck, you kind of go back to the same areas, and you find that the places that you just prefer to be, and so you just learn where not to go, to speak. But I had a Rand McNally GPS. Um, I don't remember. It was one of the smaller versions, not the gigantic tablet looking thing that they sold there at the end. It was just strictly the GPS. I had that, and I would double check the routing with like Google Maps and Apple Maps to make sure that it was kind of the fastest route, although that wasn't necessarily always my biggest concern. And then if there were areas in question, I always referred back to my atlas. Right now, that was a bit more earlier in my career. Um, or if I went to specific parts, like if I went up to the Northeast and I was getting into kind of unknown areas off the interstate, right? I always checked. And I always was very, very good at watching my signs. So, it was just a kind of a combination of those two things, being very aware of signs and everything that's coming or upcoming. And yeah, just good pre-planning. I think the pre-planning will alleviate a lot of those things. But get yourself a good atlas. They're not too expensive, and you can even go, you don't have to buy the latest, you don't have to buy one every year, certainly. You can get one that's like a year or two old, I think, for pretty cheap, definitely like less than like 20 bucks, I think, and that should serve you well. Good morning, cheap freight hauler. Josh the vegan, what's up? James Michael, good update, made good time. Hey, thanks, man. Much better than what I had been. I'm so long winded. Apologies in advance. The old timers saying is there is no paying freight to or from Montana. The only paying freight goes through Montana. That's true. I never stuck around long enough to haul a load out of Montana. Um, I loved driving through Montana, but only if it was light. I would not go that route if I was heavy. I think I did one time on a load that was it was pipe coming out of oh, what's up there north of Seattle? Fernley. I'm not sure if that was the exact city, but anyway, I was taking a load over to Chicago area to Midwest, and it was like 42,000. I was maybe 78,000 pounds, but I just got my ass handed to me on fuel. So I said never again. I wouldn't do it again. So I didn't drive through there heavy ever again. I'd go through there light all day long, and there was I had a couple really good. I was super happy with my setup towards the end of the career. I had I ran a lot of light loads, so got really good fuel mileage. My truck was already super fuel efficient, especially if I didn't have a heavy foot. But I had a lot of light loads. So I was either hauling light or I was hauling hazmat on flat ground. That was what I did. That was all that I did essentially, and yeah, loved it. Loved it. Loved pulling machinery. Loved that. Loved pulling cars. Cars usually when they would pop up on, or it was more so vans. Um, yeah, actually, I don't think I hauled cars. It was always vans. But anyway, when they would pop up, they paid really well. I did haul these two really cool G wagon looking things. Um, I don't remember what brand they were, but these things were all decked out for I don't know, like some safaris or something. I'm not sure if they were even staying in the United States, but they were really cool. I had two of them. The only beef I had was how long it took to get loaded and unloaded. That was a little frustrating, but it paid well. So had a lot of fun, man. I miss trucking. I miss trucking. Autistic Trucker says I live in Montana and can vouch. Man, beautiful area. Just love Montana, man. It's so nice up there. So clean, you know. Haas, good morning. Coffee. Cheers. Oh man, I skipped the dad joke. My bad. My bad. So today's dad joke. If you don't know, I've got a calendar. In the future, I will not require, but I'll put like a like limit. Down. Hit that like button, please. That helps me get out in the YouTube algorithms. All the things creators got to say. All that. So to thank you for hitting that like button, I've got a little dad joke calendar. My bad. I forgot it. I usually do this earlier. What do you call a witch who lives in a sandcastle? A sandwich. They're not like the best jokes in the world, but you may get a little chuckle out of it. So that's my little slice of laughter for today. Work Carter says Rand McNally is decent, needs much improvement on road tonnage restrictions and hazmat routing. Now that was one thing I will say this. I never used it for hazmat routing. I never paid attention to that simply because um I always followed the signs because I did find that you're right. I found a couple spots where the signs or the GPS was not telling me which way I needed to go. And you can always refer to the signs. The signs are never going to be wrong. And if you get pulled over and you get in trouble and that sign is inaccurate, then you're going to be safe and you're not going to get a ticket. So yeah, I always followed the signs. I never used it really for hazmat routing. But I when you get some years under your belt, you really won't even use that GPS that much. I kind of what I would use the GPS for more than anything is to have a generic idea of which way I'm headed. Number one, if I woke up before the sunrise, it made sure that I was headed the right direction, right? Done that a couple times. I know you've all done that, so don't laugh at me, but did that a couple of times, headed the wrong way. That's so infuriating. So that's what it was good for. And then just kind of like if I was driving and I just zoned out, as a reminder to, hey, dummy, take this turn, or head this way, head north, head south, head east, head west. It was more of that. You know, the GPS was just something. It was just a nice backup reminder, right? That's really all it's there for. To just keep you out of major trouble, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. I don't think any of the GPSs are great. Not a one, really. I would say decent at best. I would say never trust that little, what. Never, never trust it. I'm proud that my presence reminded you to do dad jokes. I don't know why I looked at your name, Hoss, and was like, oh yeah, I need a dad joke. I don't know. James Michael, ain't no way. Not sure what you're referring to, but yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of things I said that ain't no way. Billings, Montana here too from Work Harder. That's cool, man. Y'all live in a great state. I love it up there. Um, yeah, it's just different. Montana just hits different, right? It almost feels like you're in a different country. You're not in the United States anymore. Um, Autistic Trucker says I'm out of Stevie, south of Missoula. Okay. Man, I drove through one hell of a snowstorm going into was it actually no, I think I'm getting confused. I think I was headed into Bozeman. What's the major interstate that runs north and south up there? Let me have a look. I'm curious now. If you can't tell, we're past the timing portion of and just kind of hanging out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Was it? Oh, may not have been Bozeman. Might have been Billings. I don't remember. But there was. I was coming up out of Wyoming and running up there, and man, it just it was a horrendous snowstorm, and I thought I could get ahead of it, and right as I got up there on 90, I mean, I just got smoked. But everything was fine, everything was safe. I didn't have to chain up or anything like that. Um, got lucky, got lucky. 94 and 90, yeah. Yeah, I don't. What runs north out of Wyoming in there? I zoomed in a little bit, but I didn't want to waste y'all's time too much. The show Yellowstone was filmed like 20 miles south of where I live. That's cool. I didn't know that they actually used the area to film. A lot of times, I've got some. I have some background in what would you call it, Hollywood. Um, anyway, a lot of times they don't film. They don't film where like something like that. You know what I mean? So anyway, I didn't see any specific lanes show up. So that being said, I guess we're going to cut it off. I'm going to try to respect you guys' time and keep this to under 30 minutes total on average, but appreciate you guys tuning in. I really, really do. 25 heads up from Wyoming to Montana. All right. You can tell it's been too long. I can't remember my numbers of where the good truck stops that I used to stop at. Oh man, it's so sad. I'd remember the best food spots though. My favorite food spots. Remember that. All right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed today's update. Hope you got some value from it. If you did, consider hitting that like button. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys tuning in every day, and hopefully you're getting some value out of this. If you are, I'll see you back tomorrow. And if not, maybe I'll see you back sometime in the future. Just remember, keep that shiny side up, and as always, stay driven. Thanks, James. I appreciate that. Oh man.